Welcome back to part two. I'm Ahmed Al-Nagar and this is Monday Legal. And my guest for today is Clotilde Iaia from Yongo Legal. And we are continuing talking about very interesting topic, mainly family law, divorce and consequences. Thank you very much and welcome after the break.
Thank you very much for having me. Oh, this coffee was really, really needed. Thank you for the break, Ahmed.
Thank you very much. I want to ask about the consequences of divorce, conflicted divorces, like when there is a problem between the husband and wife and they decide to go for divorce, and when there is no economical problem. So, for example, if the husband has no problem to provide whatever amount of money to the ex-wife and can cover all the financials of the family and the kids and her, what kind of other problems that could legally erupt out of a divorce that is not economically driven conflict?
Yeah, usually it's child custody.
Custody, yeah.
Yeah, not custody in sense of who's going to take the major decision. It's more about guardianship, like who is the holder of the children.
Mm-hmm.
It also sometimes, even if there are no economic issues, or there wouldn't supposedly be economic issues, they tend to arise because of a form of revenge.
Mm-hmm.
So the spouse that felt that has been the most, or that came out of the end of the relationship thinking or having a victimization mentality, they tend to treat themselves or think of themselves as the victim of the divorce or the decision, or maybe when the decision on the divorce is not mutual, but it is made by one only of the spouses, then the other party may feel that they've lost control, right, on some part of their life that clearly for them was important, and that can cause that even if potentially there wouldn't be any economic issue because that person makes very good money and it wouldn't be such a big issue for them to continue to pay for the children's education, children's food, and the wife or the ex-wife alimony. They try and do whatever they can because they simply want to hurt the other person. So we see a lot of revenge conflict. And then, of course, in abusive relationship is mostly the issues that arise and on which the parties tend to fight is the guardianship, who keeps the children. And the funny fact is that in abusive relationship, so the mother wants to protect the children, right, from further abuse. Because when there is an abusive relationship, the abuser is not just an abuser towards the mother, right? It's also an abuser towards the children, because maybe even if it doesn't hit the children, but it's going to be shouting at them, or it's going to have outbursts of rage, or simply the fact that it's traumatic for a child to see somebody being aggressive to the mother, somebody that they love, it's not the best environment, right? So the mothers want to protect the children from being exposed as much as possible to this type of behavior.
There's some situations where the abused person or the abused party of this relationship is even not so motivated to go to court because they're not used to it and they're afraid of what is the situation, and they have probably no other way to win in this situation or no other way to get the basic rights met or the basic financial support for the children met other than court, but they still have one
they have no other way,
one thing in their mind,
or they think that they're like in a corner and they don't have a way out. So we have a lot, like when a woman comes to us, I think she's already done the first step.
Mm-hmm.
However, sometimes they come to us and they have no plan. They have no financial income. They don't have family support. They don't have knowledge of the law or what to do. They don't have a job. So we always tell them, look, before we help you with a divorce or we apply for a divorce, we need to make sure that you are in a position to withstand 6 months of, it's like going to war in a sense. You have to be prepared. We can't just go to war without having put all our ducks in a row and making sure that we can support you and you can support yourself, and that you're ready psychologically, financially, and from an evidence point of view. So we need to prepare them and ensure that we are able to gather enough evidence to show income from the husband, at least enough so that we can convince the judge, if we're not sure that we have sufficient evidence, to show all the income for the judge to appoint an expert. So this takes, of course, time, money. So they have to get prepared. So sometimes it takes us 6 months to bring a client to be ready to file for divorce. I'm not sure. I was thinking that maybe we should speak about how much a divorce costs in Dubai.
I will go to that, but there is one thing that is connected to the topic that we are talking about. I might ask you this. Do you have an advice for a woman who is on the way to get to divorce? Are there some things or documents or preparation that if she knows that it's going to go for divorce for the next 2 months or something, is there something that she could prepare or she could ask, or some information that she should know during the marriage, so that when she goes into the stage that divorce is happening, then she's prepared for that stage?
Yeah. So many times women that come, we realize that women that come to us for divorce, especially I have to say smart women that have very good jobs, they have no idea about their husband's work, their husband employment contract, their husband income. They have separate accounts. They pay everything separately. They share everything 50-50. Some of them didn't even know how much they're paying for school fees. They have no idea what their Ejari contract is for, or they have an idea, but they don't know if it is in their husband's name or in their names. So we have to help them understand many times, to gather information that are relevant to any divorce, to understand their husband's income, to understand how much they can, to understand how much they can think they can, claim an alimony for, even for child support, to determine what rights we can claim from the husband should we go into litigation in regards to alimony and child custody and child alimony. So this is very important for them. They have to, please don't live in a marriage thinking that you are not entitled to ask these questions. Some women don't even have the copy of the Emirates ID of their husband. They don't have copy of their husband's passport. I am shocked, because without Emirates ID, I can't start the case. I can't even start the case. So we have to start sometimes from the ABC. Like, we have to tell them, so you need these documents and you need a birth certificate and you need to know where these documents. And then because some of these husbands are abusive, they also are in full control of any document.
So let's tell the audience, what are the minimum documents you need to have for your spouse if you want to file for divorce?
Okay, just for divorce, if you want to have a divorce decree issued by either Dubai court or Abu Dhabi court, you will need your Emirates ID, your husband's Emirates ID, your children's Emirates ID, your children's birth certificate, your certificate of marriage, which if it was drawn up abroad or celebrated abroad, will have to be attested and legalized by the relevant embassy in the country of origin. You will also
you need an email address, you need a telephone number.
Email address and a telephone number. You will need access to your UAE pass. And a lot of people don't even have a UAE pass yet.
Yes.
So we have to make sure that they get one, especially if they are planning to perhaps make the application for the divorce by themselves, because both system, the Dubai court system, as well as the court system in Abu Dhabi, the portal works only with a UAE pass. Although in Abu Dhabi, if you are non-resident and you want to apply for divorce, you can also do it with your passport, because in Abu Dhabi, since they have the civil marriage and they celebrate civil marriage for foreigners as well, even if they're not resident. And so for those foreigners, then they can apply for divorce even just on the basis of their passport copies. These are the main element that they will need, of course, to make an application for divorce.
And how much would it cost approximately, just on the administrative
So from the court fees, Abu Dhabi applies a rate of 5,300 dirhams, which covers almost the full divorce case, inclusive of petitions for child custody and alimony. Although when you do make the petitions for child custody and alimony, you might be required to pay additional 250 to 300 dirham for each petition. And in addition to this, you need to consider the cost of appointing an expert. The cost of the expert, of course, vary between expert and can be a bit different between Dubai and Abu Dhabi, but usually we've seen as a standard rate, not less than 15,000 dirhams. Usually the judge will request the party to split the cost of the expert fees between the two spouses.
Yes.
Of course, lawyers' fees are separate. That to keep in mind when you go and see any lawyers is that the new non-Muslim or foreigners divorce law provides for, so the procedure is divided in 2 parts in Dubai and in 3 parts in Abu Dhabi. So the cost of the procedure and of each petition is usually charged separately by the lawyer. In Dubai, the cost of separation and divorce is much lower, is around 2,000 dirhams.
Yeah.
And it also is inclusive of all the different stages of divorce. So another difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi is that before Dubai courts, the divorce is done at the first hearing. In Abu Dhabi, it takes usually 2 hearings, because the first hearing is before the case manager, and only once the case manager has reviewed all the documents, convinced that everything is there, then sends the case to the judge for final judgment. And then in Dubai, you'll have a petition. You'll have to make separate petition as well for alimony and child custody, but Dubai still requires for you to go and see the Family Guidance Committee to try and find a settlement. We find these to not be very useful to couples, because if you're arrived at that point, it's a formality. It's probably a bit it probably helps Dubai courts with managing their case law to kind of time it when they can send more cases to the judge. I think their case law is huge. In Abu Dhabi is 2 hearings for divorce, then divorce is declared, and then it is very fast, and then you can get directly into the 2 petition. There is no attempt from the court to find amicable settlement, and it's they tend to, like, you cannot have a postponement of the hearing or a reassessment that is longer than a week. So the postponement of the hearing is very quick. It's almost like a common law type of system where the procedure is very condensed. Very condensed. Mm-hmm. So it's better because you get it done.
You get it done quickly.
For lawyers, it's a little bit more hectic. Yes, because you have to quickly get things drafted out and review documents and find any translation, because Abu Dhabi is in dual language. Dubai, although the law says that the procedure should be in dual language if both spouses are foreigners, but we found that they tend to revert to Arabic if there are local lawyers. And because you must have a local lawyer, then the procedure is always and mostly directly in Arabic. So if you are an expat and you're living in Dubai and you do need to go through a divorce procedure, you must have a local lawyer, because otherwise you will not understand much of what is happening, and you want to understand what is happening. Because your input as a party to the lawyer in cases of family law, it is pivotal to the possibility for yourself to be successful in your petitions.
Our job is not to advise you if you get married or get divorced. Our job is to educate you and make you understand your rights within the marriage and within divorce. So I would always advise and recommend everybody, if you're getting into marriage, understand your rights and obligations, write a prenuptial agreement, get understanding a little bit what are the consequences, what would happen if there's children, what are the financial obligations of both.
Discuss with your future husband what are his financial principles. How does he like to spend money? Where does he like to invest? What you have to speak about money with the person you're going to marry, because that's one of the most common source of arguments. It's money and children's education. So before you marry to somebody, remember, it's not bad to speak about money. It's not bad. You have to ask.
You should do that, yes.
Yes. And for husband, it's fair to ask a prenuptial, because for them too, it's risky to get into marriage. And it's better to know before and to be able to decide, okay, what happened if we divorce?
Right.
How our assets are going to be split? After how many years this will happen? After how many years that will happen? So please don't be shy. Speak to your partners. It's important to understand, because if you don't agree on these basic principles, your life is going to be very difficult. And please try to understand that your life prior to marriage is when it is easier, that things get tougher when you get married, not easier. So the marriage is the beginning of a very complex and complex part of your life. And if you're prepared for that part of your life and you've done your homework, then as everything else, every other project in your life, you'll be successful.
Yes. And don't forget to speak to your lawyer when you have a question and you don't have the answer to, because speaking to an expert and being well informed is such an important part of anything, any project, not just marriage, even company formation or a business or employment. Just understand what legally you need to do and what are your obligations. We thank you so much for coming back to the show.
Thank you for having me. I love coming here. We always have very, very interesting discussion.
Absolutely. Thank you very much for listening to us. And this is your dose from Monday Legal. See you next week.